Hey, welcome to Princeton Church. If we've never met, my name is Michael, and I get so excited about spending a couple of minutes of my week together with you all. While a lot of us have been apart over the last year, it's refreshing to know that our community of faith is able to use this online platform and social media to continue connecting and being part of the bigger church family. Many of you know that I live in California, and while Miami is still very much my home, I've been back quite a bit over the last year, and I still consider Princeton to be my home church. So thank you for letting me share a little bit with you all today. I've shared a little bit about what I do for work before. I work at a creative agency called Grizzly, like the bear. And one of the things that we say around the office a lot is live the adventure. And over the last year, everyone was working remotely, and we'd been fortunate enough to have grown to the point of needing to hire more people and producers and designers from all over the country and even Mexico. This last week, we had our quarterly all-hands retreat, or our team meeting, and we canceled all of our other meetings, and this was a day for us just to be together, talking about the future and getting outside to spend time together to grow and to build our culture. With a name like Grizzly, there's obviously an outdoor component to the retreat. So on Friday of last week, we decided to go on a hike. Now, being from Florida, it's more like a nature walk. The only mountain I know in Florida is Mount Trashmore, and that's an actual dump. But Friday's hike was fun. It was an adventure. We started walking through these easy trails, and I'd never been on this specific trail before, but it seemed like it was going to be a walk in the park. But the paths soon turned into switchbacks up the mountain. And something to know about Southern California is that it's mostly desert terrain. The terrain is full of dry brush and sand and rocks. I'm the resident photographer of the group, so I was following everyone up behind in the back and taking some photos along the way. But as my group got further in front of me, I started to fall behind. Again, I'd never been on this trail before, so I was trusting that wherever I was walking was going to catch me up with everyone else. Now, about 45 minutes into the walk, those trails that turned into switchbacks up the mountain quickly turned into nothing but boulders with tiny footholds, and if you didn't catch them quite right, it'd be easy to slip. At this point, there was nothing but rock on both sides of me and about 40 feet high, and at some points, the path between were only a couple feet wide. It was at this point I started to panic. I felt claustrophobic, and so many thoughts were going through my head. Do I stop? Where is everybody? What if I get stuck and need a bathroom? What did I get myself into? It takes a lot of trust to do something that you've never done before. It took me trusting someone else who said, this is an easy hike, for me to get on board. But isn't it scary when you trust enough to do it, but then find yourself questioning whether or not it's all worth it? While I was navigating through what I thought was the scariest moment of my life, and all I could think was, what if there's an earthquake? And at this very moment, any of these rocks could come tumbling down. It was at that moment I thought about the story of Moses leading the Israelites through the Red Sea. Instead of walls of water, I was surrounded by walls of rock. But I think I got a glimpse of what life was like in the valley. Most of us know the story of Moses parting the Red Sea, but can you imagine what it was like? The entire nation of Israel following one man, following one God, and trusting that they would be led to the land that was promised to them. To escape the Egyptians and Pharaoh for so many years that had kept them captive, and Moses, called by God to lead the people, I'm sure one day was like, all right, let's go for a hike. We're going to get out of here. And I bet most of the Israelites, for them, it probably sounded like a treat. But sometime into their hike, they were faced with maybe the scariest moments of their life. Stuck at a body of water with no way to cross, and Pharaoh coming quickly behind to capture and possibly kill them just because he changed his mind. Exodus 14:10 says, as Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. But the next part is my favorite part. Moses says, "Do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." You see, the trials of life will come our way, and we just want to fix them. We want life to be easy. We want God to be magic, to provide a quick fix, and we don't take the time to think about what it means in our lives to stop, to be still, and to let God fight for us. And it's times like these that we think we have what it takes to solve life's problems. We're all guilty of believing this illusion that we have the power to will things for our lives. And many of us believe that God has the power, but so often we want God's power without his presence. We want God's power, but so often without his presence. That means that God lives in every part of our life. He's the center of everything we do. Our relationships, our attitudes, our conversations, our thoughts, the things that nobody else can hear. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years, a 40-year hike, trusting in God, his presence, and his power to lead them. Now, if we flip forward to the New Testament, we find Jesus in the wilderness for 40 days. I don't think this was a whim or Jesus wasn't just going on a hike. The scripture actually says Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Satan was testing Jesus. He was pushing Jesus at his most vulnerable, most hungry, most tired moments to see if Jesus would give in, if Jesus would use his own power, which we know he was capable of, to make his situation more comfortable. But that's not what he was led by the Spirit to do. He was to trust God the Father, to allow his power through his presence. Matthew 4 verse 5 says, "Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. 'If you are the Son of God,' he said, 'throw yourself down, for it's written, he will command the angels concerning you, and they will lift you up with their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone.' Jesus answered him, 'It's also written,' he said, 'do not put the Lord your God to the test.'" See, Satan knew Jesus was capable of closing his eyes or snapping his fingers or proving that he had the power, but he did not give in to those temptations in the valley. Even at the top of the mountain, at the top of the temple, Jesus knew that it was God's presence that provides the power. You know, both of these stories in the Bible show us times where the Israelites and Jesus were caught in the valleys of life, the lowest, the tough times, the times of being tested. But know this, I believe that we will learn more about God in the valleys of life than at the top of the mountain. The dark times of our lives, the times when you feel alone, when you lost a loved one, when work isn't going the right way or the way that you want it to, those are the times when we learn the most about who God is, testing our trust in him, and those are the times when God is fighting for us. On Friday, I eventually made it out of my valley of rocks, and while I don't plan on doing it again, I'm sure it won't be the last time that I feel like things can come tumbling down at any moment. And I don't know what scenarios in life you're facing right now, but I do know that God is fighting for you. I don't know what valleys you're walking through, but remember that the only thing you need to do is be still. Trust God, his power, and most importantly, his presence.